Hi everybody, this is Ray Ogilvie, and today I'm in Bishopville, South Carolina. And I'm at an establishment called the Swamp Log Artisan Gallery. And this business is owned and operated by Alec Blaylock, who's here with us today. Okay, Alec, I walked into the shop and this huge log is the first thing I saw. Could you tell us a little something about it?
Well, yes, sir. I've been an underwater logger for the last 7 or 8 years. I have been recovering logs using scuba from underwater South Carolina rivers and swamps. And we recovered the logs that were harvested out of the old growth forest 100 to 150 years ago. And they transported those logs down the waterways, and the ones that had the tightest growth rings and the heaviest, which is also the best logs they had, tended to sink sometimes, and they wouldn't recover them. So that's what we've been doing, is using scuba to recover those logs. We have them sawn into high-grade, wonderful lumber, and then we've been marketing that lumber. The purpose of this building is to feature things made from that lumber. We have 48 different artisans that do that woodwork and many other arts and crafts and furnished collectibles. This particular log here is not what we typically pull. This was a storm tree, but we pulled it because I thought it would make such a beautiful feature in the storm. Normally we pull logs that were cut to length and buck, and the limbs cut off, and most of them would be 16 feet in length. Primarily cypress, old growth heart pine, poplar, and occasional other kind of species of log also.
Okay, and you were telling me about a fungus that attacks these logs?
Yes, there was a fungus that would attack the trees, older trees, the older cypress trees, and there was a fungus that would start in the top of a tree and work its way down. And it could take hundreds of years for this fungus to get all the way to the base of a tree. And that's what makes this tree so interesting. That tells us that this tree is extremely old, probably 1,000 years old or older, because not only of its great size, but because it was completely eaten out, hollowed out by the pecky fungus. When the tree dies, the fungus dies, so they continue to work on the tree. And in the old days, they considered that lumber ruined, and they would leave it. But about 50 years ago or so, people discovered that they liked pecky fungus. This gunrack over here is an example of what pecky does to boards. And they discovered that it makes wonderful furniture and wainscoting, paneling, seating boards and such. Pecky cypress, very special. This ukulele is made by Howard Moore III from Hartsville. He's made it out of almost entirely sinker cypress. All the body, the sides, the top, the back are all cypress. This is a different wood here. He's inset Pacific abalone into this decorative work around here. That's a Pacific shell, highly decorative. Did you know that Stradivarius, the violin maker, had figured out what made his violins have such a different tone was he soaked his wood in water and then let it dry out and make it. So sinker woods make beautiful sounding musical instruments. I wish I could play this for you, but obviously I can't. But it's a beautiful piece made by Howard Moore III.
And Alec, this beautiful pie safe is made out of that old wood?
Yes, it is. It's out of sinker pine, old heart pine.
And what were you telling me about these punch tin designs?
This pie safe is all handmade, except for the punch tins, and they are machine punched. But I was telling you that you can note that they're punched in. In the old days, they were punched out where the rough surface was out. And the reason for that is that in the old days when we didn't have modern and central air conditioning and heating, the doors and windows stayed open more often, and we had more of a problem with flies. Any of you old design, you remember the house full of flies. And they reasoned that an insect would have a harder time crawling through the tin with the ragged edge out here. But now that we have, most of us have modern air conditioning, they punch it in so that you don't risk the snag. But this is heart pine, retrieved from the river. This particular pine came out of Lynch's River near Effingham. And it's by Dean Stokes. And it's a beautiful piece. He's a very talented furniture. Real proud of this piece.
Now these pretty pieces here on the wall, are these crimshaw?
They are scrimshaw, and they are done in the old tradition of they are done on ivory. Ivory has been outlawed import into the United States to protect the wildlife species, but these are made out of old piano keys when they still made the piano keys from ivory. So these are legal. They are made by Karen Langley, and they're in the same tradition that the old sailors used to. Scrimshaw primarily started with the sailors from New England, and they would have idle times at sea, and they would use the ivory from the teeth and the bones of the whales that they had captured and slaughtered. And she is very gifted at this. She etches into the ivory and then puts an ink or a color down in there to make the figure stand out. This is a craft that's about 300 years old.
Now these are some beautiful pictures, and I was real surprised when you told me how they were made.
Yes, these are, it's hard to get your mind around the talent that it takes to make these. These are photographs of the original works. The original works are larger than these, and the original works are pyrography. The artist has taken something like a pen with a needle in the end of it, a little tiny wire, and he can control the heat that goes to that pen, and he burns onto the wood. This looks like it might be pen or ink drawings, but it's not. All of this detail that he has captured is just by burning it in with that little hot needle. All of this detail, all of this, you can see this is like the needles on a tree, and this is the leaves here, the individual bricks, and the shade of the tree falling on the grass. It's just an amazing work. Up at the top there is an original piece that he did. The bottoms here are photographs of the original works, but that is an original of the old bank building in Manning, South Carolina. And again, that's all done with a hot wire shading into the wood.
And Alec, is this checkerboard also pyrography?
It is. It's done by Thomas Blackman from down below Manning. He's a very gifted artist. This is a Celtic design checkerboard set. We also have rivery covered mantelpieces. These two here were cut from a big beam that was about 12 feet long. It was originally in a bridge, we believe, that was built over Lynch's River in about 1850, and it washed away in a flood about 1930. You notice that it's got mortise and tenon. This bridge had no mechanical or metal connectors. It was all just fit together, pointed ends going into the mortise in the next piece. And it's quite unusual. And this is a different kind of mantelpiece. This is cut from a cypress, and we have found a new process to use under where the bark was. This is the outside skin, the live edge. And I think this is just the most beautiful way that you can do this wood. And this is a mantelpiece, and it would go like this. And then we've got some smaller pieces done the same way that could go in the same room as your mantelpiece. And just make a shelf in the same room with your mantel. And then you can see this beautiful finish work on the top and on the outside live edge slab side. Beautiful pieces.
Okay, now I really like this well.
This well is hand carved by Toby Fry out of Little River, South Carolina. He is quite the master at carving. Every tooth in that well is individually carved and set in. The fin is a separate piece of wood carved, and he's taken advantage of the grain in the cypress wood. And to me, it just looks like the way the grain is flowing is just the same way that the water would flow over the surface of the well as he moved through.
Yeah, I see that too, yeah.
Beautiful piece. See his little eye down there? Wonderful piece.
Now, speaking of whales, the shop has quite a few whale fossils. And all of these fossils were recovered from rivers by divers in South Carolina and Georgia. And besides the whale vertebra, we have whale teeth. Now these are from a sperm whale and believed to be around 1 million years old. And from the same time period, we have some very nice mammoth teeth. And here's the remains of an animal you wouldn't expect to see around these parts. This is a piece of walrus tusk. And everybody's favorite, lots and lots of giant shark teeth. And these are from the megalodon shark. Besides the fossils, the shop has some great mineral specimens, like these geodes here. And here's a beautiful cluster of quartz crystals. And that's just touching on some of the artwork here at the swamp log. If you're in Bishopville and have some extra time, this is a place you'll definitely want to stop by.